Here's the simplest thing I know about power, and also the most misunderstood. Power is not about controlling other people, controlling an environment, or even controlling emotion. It's not about staying calm. It's not about being positive, grounded, regulated, or unbothered. Real power comes from orientation. Specifically, the ability to stay on a trajectory of energy while emotion moves through you. And most people collapse those things, a line of energy and emotion. They confuse what they feel with where they're aimed. And that confusion costs them the clarity, the leadership, the dynamics, the creative integrity, and even self-trust that they're really wanting. Before I go further, quick orientation. If this distinction between emotion and energy is already interesting to you, we have a short somatic skins quiz down below that will help you see how energy maps in your nervous system and structure and how it tends to then organize under pressure, where you naturally hold the line and where you tend to lose it. So it's not a personality test. It's a way to understand how your body leads before your mind does. So pause this video, go down to the description, take the quiz, and then come back, and all of this will land with a little more texture. All right. First, let's define terms. For this context, when I talk about power and energy here, I'm not speaking metaphorically or even spiritually. I am talking about the felt physiological charge and movement inside our nervous system. The real sensations that organize perception, behavior, and choice under pressure. Second, the energy line is not an emotion. The first mistake is to think that when I talk about the trajectory of energy or the aim or energy line, that it's the same as an emotional state. It's not. The energy line is an orientation, a chosen direction that organizes how you respond, decide, and act. Emotion is what passes through the body. Orientation is what you stand on. You don't necessarily choose your passing emotions. They arise, they pass, they spike, they fade, they come with heat, speed, contraction, expansion, urgency, etc. And that's what we call charge. But you do choose your orientation. That orientation might be value-based, like integrity, dignity, truth, beauty, or it might be sensation-based, steadiness, peace, vibrancy, coherence. Not as a mood, but as a directional through line. And once chosen, your work is then not to feel that way all the time. That's a myth. The work is to stay oriented to that through line even when you don't. Emotion is weather. Orientation is aim. I'm an archer, and archery gives us a clean metaphor here. When an archer draws the bow, the body lines up, feet, hips, spine, breath, eyes. The arrow is then drawn, the sight line is set, and that's the aim. Then life happens. There might be wind, noise, adrenaline, and none of that means that the archer should change the target. The wind isn't failure. Your adrenaline isn't a problem. The noise, the conditions internal or external, isn't necessarily a signal to abandon the shot. They are conditions. Emotion works the same way. Fear, doubt, anger, grief, urgency. These are not signs that something has gone wrong. They're information. Weather systems that are moving through your nervous system. And so the problem isn't in feeling them. The problem is letting them take over your aim, take over the archer, and then make them mean more than they do. Allowing emotion without letting it drive is the key. And this is where it's easy to get tangled. You might ask, if I stay oriented to joy or integrity while I feel fear or anger, isn't that just lying to myself? Denial? No. Denial is pretending that the emotion isn't there. Bypassing is skipping over it. Suppression is tightening against it. Orientation is something else entirely. It says, I feel this fully. I don't rush to get rid of it. And I don't reorganize my life or my target around it. That capacity is not philosophical. It's trained. And this is where understanding stops being enough. Shameless plug, we have an upcoming season in the Prestige where we train this kind of ability directly, not as theory, but as lived practice. You don't just learn what orientation is, you start to feel where you lose it, where you overcorrect, and where you actually have more capacity than you thought. And even more, there's a place if you want to go further. We host a retreat this year. It's called Full Firm, in person in Colorado in April. And it isn't a place where we sit around talking about these ideas. You will live them somatically in your body in real time under real conditions. It's intentionally small, highly curated. Actually, we only have a couple spots left. And so if that's something of interest to you, you can reach out and talk to me directly. All right, anyways, back to my point. What can it look like to use this so-called negative energy or emotional weather passing through? Anger is a good example. Anger is often labeled negative, but anger is actually mobilizing energy. It brings heat, clarity, boundaries, and even forward motion. So, for example, anger can fuel a clean conversation. It can fuel decisive boundaries, a truth that has been suppressed and needs to be spoken. Or, when it takes over, it can fuel scorched earth reactions, burned bridges, long-term regret, real damage. Same energy, but a different trajectory, a different energy line. Fear works the same way. Fear sharpens attention. It increases signal. It tells you that something matters. When fear is allowed to move without hijacking the aim, it improves strategy, timing, and precision. And in fact, fear is an interesting one because it reveals the direction of desire, what is most alive in your energy line, right? Like the target worth shooting for because it matters to you. So when you feel fear, that might actually be a signal to hold that directional line rather than to pull back or deviate. You see, to go back to our metaphor, the archer doesn't wait for nerves to disappear or environmental conditions to improve. They learn to hold the line even while activated. And that's not denial, that's mastery. It's self-leadership or command under pressure. And this becomes critical, especially in dynamics with other people or in business. Let's say a deal you were counting on falls through. Your revenue immediately drops. Or a key person in your life leaves. The world feels unstable. Conditions are intense, and the body is going to feel it. But a self-leader or a leader with others must orient anyways. Some of the cleanest leadership decisions are made in moments of intensity. Not because intensity disappeared, but because it was held. The leader held a deeper line. Integrity, responsibility, or long-term coherence. That is the kind of power that moves people, that people trust. All right, one more example, creative work. So creative work exposes this even more clearly. Creators are often taught, follow your feelings, express them, or maybe ignore them and create art for the market. And both extremes really miss the point, because creative emotion is fuel. And fuel without direction on an energy line burns everything. So staying on one energy trajectory doesn't mean confidence or inspiration all the time. It means being an instrument for the creative work to come through you, letting doubt move through without letting it decide, letting frustration sharpen your craft instead of kill your momentum, letting longing deepen your devotion to your vision instead of collapsing into imitation. Truly great artists, they don't feel less, and they don't get taken down by every passing thought and feeling. They feel everything, but they aim well, and that's the third path. So many systems will train one of two extremes. They will train to suppress emotion to appear stable, or they'll train expressed emotion without orientation, and they'll call it authenticity. And you'll see both of these patterns at play everywhere. But both extremes leak power. And so there is a third path, and that's the one we're on, and it's this: full feeling, clean aim. Emotion is allowed. Information is received. But the line of trajectory, the chosen energy, remains intact. You can be grieving and still act with passion. You can be afraid and still choose decisive clarity. You can be furious and still stay clean. What self-command and your power actually is the ability to stay on that energy line. And it isn't willpower or control or pretend. It is a practiced relationship between sensation and creative choice. It is your self-trust, your authorship, and your power. That is being a fierce creator. It's knowing you can feel deeply and act ferociously without losing direction. So that's what I have for you today. Remember, if you want to go deeper, start with our Somatic Skins quiz. You can also explore these themes in our books, The Somatic Skins and Becoming the Grand Formidable, which are now available for order. You can find the links in the description below. And third, if you want to train with us directly, reach out. To recap, energy will always move. Environmental conditions are in constant flux, but you are the constant, and your ability to orient through any change and challenge is trainable. If you made it this far, thank you. That means a lot. Please do take a moment, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. It helps our channel out a lot. Until next time.